will call this Monday, June 24th meeting of the Lake Havasu City Parks and Recreation Advisory Board to order. Everybody could please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag, United States of America, to the republic, which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Can you be seated? Move on to the roll call.
Sherry Butler is excused. Kyler Cox.
Here, all the way from Kingman.
Mercedes Kaiser. Here. Jason Mitchell.
Here.
Shannon Murray is excused. Ashley Pasquale. Here. Alex Ross.
Here.
Philip Shannon is excused. Ali Strader. Here. And Councilmember David Lane is excused.
Okay, thank you. I'll move on to item number 4, election of officers. Director Kozlowski, did you want to touch on this?
Yes, I can. Based off of some of the absences here tonight, if we can move forward with electing new officers for this upcoming Parks and Recreation Board. However, if the board is willing, we could also table this to our next meeting when we have more members are present.
Thank you. Yeah, I would tend to agree. Obviously, let's see what get some consensus from the board, but I do believe there may be some changes and or differences in some of the some new people. So, a great idea. Does anybody from the board have any opinions?
Can I make a motion to table it for the next meeting? This is Mercedes. Motion to table election of officers until the next Parks and Rec Advisory Board meeting. Thank you.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second that motion, Mr. Chair.
Motion and a second. Any final discussion? All right, hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? Okay. We will move on to the call to the public. We'll now have an open call to the public for citizens wishing to address the board on issues within the jurisdiction of the board. The comments must be limited to 3 minutes or less. If you wish to address an item already on today's agenda, you should wait until the item is announced for a public hearing. At the conclusion of the open call to the public, individual members of the board may respond to criticism made by those who address the board, may ask staff to review a matter, or may ask that a matter be placed on a future agenda. However, the board members cannot take or discuss anything that is not already on today's agenda. That being said, I see somebody at the podium. Go ahead. Please state your name for the record. Not getting any audio on the microphones on.
This is Mary Van Roy, and I wanted to attend this meeting tonight to talk again about a grant to be applied for by the city for an equestrian staging area at Sarah Park. And Lake Havasu City has done so many improvements, and from the hiking, mountain biking, the dog park, BMX track, it just goes on. And my favorite one is the rodeo grounds. But we have a large horse riding community in this town, and the Equestrian Center in Lake Havasu City, then Donkey Acres and Havasu Heights and that. And I don't think a lot of people realize that, but it's very popular. And I was on the ASCOT board, which is the Arizona State Committee on Trails for Non-Motorized Trail Grants. And I was on there for 2 terms. And Mickey and his staff, they helped me and the Friends of the Fair do our Horizon 6 equestrian trail, which has been a huge success for our community. So I'm familiar with the grants and how it has to be applied for. And then at that ASCOT meetings, I would always meet Jan Hancock, and she wrote the book that you can get from the federal government, which is trailheads and horse facilities. And that's a real good guidebook to work with to get a grant. And then previously, as a backcountry horseman of Lake Havasu, we did work GPS equestrian trails for the BLM when they were doing their master plan. That's probably about 15 years ago. So we're very well aware of all the good trails that are out in Sarah Park. And the Lake Havasu City have been working with BLM for about 10 years to get the patent of the area that I would be interested in asking for a staging area. And that patent came through, I think, in 2022. So that was the opening the door to a location. And I'm not sure if they want to put in sports parks or other things there, but that's always an option. Right now, there's no plans, or the plans that were planned many, many years ago aren't in effect anymore. So the problem with when Mike and I walked it, we're not sure where the state trust land starts, where the new patent land starts, because there's state trust land parcel right behind the Ace Hardware across from the dog park. And the area we walked to, and I've always also walked with Dub Campbell, is further back. So it's hidden from the road. So if people do have a horse trailer parked there, it wouldn't be seen while they're out riding or something. And the other thing was there's a water meter because there used to be an old armory site there. And we don't know if that's active. So Mike was going to check into that to see if that was an active water meter, which then Van Roy Plumbing or plumbers would run a water line to the possible staging area if we ever got one. And, Dub looked at it. The grading isn't an issue because it's not like there's any washes or anything. It's a very level area, but it's hidden away from the road. So it's not an attraction for people that really shouldn't be around horse trailers or that sort of thing. And I've been with the Friends of the Fair since they founded, and the rodeo grounds have been slowly built up over all these years. And some people think, well, that's where we should have a staging area. Well, that's never an option because the gates are locked. And there's so many activities and events going on that we could never use that for a staging area for horses. Then the last thing is that we can share it fairly and safely with other people. Sometimes bikers or hikers think a horse is a problem, but we've been using it out there for a long, long time. And there's not a conflict except when they had a riding stable for one season. They had a permit and that ran into some issues with the bikers, which totally understandable, but that doesn't have to happen. And we'd love it out there because it's non-motorized and there's no shooting, target shooting, except at the gun range, which is perfect. That's where they should be shooting. We are a horse community, and I don't know if a lot of people know that, but there's a lot of people. And I think what I would hope for, too, is that it could be even used for someone to bring in horses for a few hours to do equestrian equine therapy. That's huge in a lot of parts of the country. And also horse lessons or grooming around horses like a Boy Scout badge or something like that. There's a lot of things that could be done when somebody would just bring in a couple horses. I have the map that shows where the state trust land is, but when you're out there, I wouldn't know where it is. So I'm hoping to get that. This is BLM mapping of trails, which should include equestrian trails. I also have I just want to say the history of Sarah Park. This is the old trail maps that they used when they had a stable out there probably 40, 50 years ago. So it's really kind of fun to see that we had horses out there then. And I just have lots more information if somebody wants to ever walk it or see where I'm talking about. And if there is a way to find out which is state land, which is the new patent area, if there are any other plans for that area. And if not, I'm hoping you have a grant writer right here in Lake Havasu City. And it has to be a grant writer for the property owner. And it also has to be the permission of who owns the property if you even want to pursue a grant. And I just think it might be a really good idea because Sarah Park's a beautiful place and family recreation is so important. So if there's any opportunity for us to talk to anyone about it, I didn't know if I should leave this just for the record of what I kind of wrote up, if anybody wanted it. Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. We appreciate your time. Is there anybody else from the public that would like to address the board? Hey, doesn't look like anybody else. Am I correct?
That is correct, Chairman.
Ready. That being said, seeing no others, we'll close the call to the public and move on to item 6.1, approval of the March 25th, 2024 meeting minutes. Looking for a motion.
Mr. Chair, I make a motion to approve the March 25th, 2024 meeting minutes.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
This is Mercedes Kaiser. I'll second the motion.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? Ready. We'll move on to item 7.1, the staff report. Director Kozlowski.
Thank you, Chairman, members of the board. Before I jump into a presentation, I'd like to introduce our team member, Allie Strader. Welcome to the Parks Board. Happy to have you. Okay, this presentation is a brief presentation that I provided to our City Council a few meetings back regarding some of the projects that our Park Superintendent, Guy Reynolds, and his team have been working on as it pertains to park maintenance and the utilization of the funding that our City Council approved in last fiscal year, as well as plans for this upcoming fiscal year's funding to do some additional maintenance and improvements throughout the park system. Some of the recent projects that we have been working on, and if some of you have seen as you utilize some of the park amenities, the great improvements to our Site 6 boat launch ramp with some of the additional paint and landscaping, as well as some of the improvements to the bathroom facilities out there as well. Additional trail signage throughout Sarah Park, which was something that we worked very closely with our grants team in order to continue to move this project forward. Our park staff just completed a new scoreboard out at Sarah Park, so that is a nice new amenity out there as well as some additional park ramadas and some movement of those currently at London Bridge Beach for the future site of the USS Arizona Memorial. Some of the proposed projects that we're looking at doing in this upcoming fiscal year consist of additional field improvements, working with the partners out there to identify improvements to our dugout facilities, as well as additional improvements to ramadas. As you can see, they are in need of some improvements. They're just weathered and old, and it's time for some upgrades to these facilities within Rotary Park. We'll continue to take a look at ball field lighting throughout the park system as we look to make improvements there in this fiscal year's budget. We'll also take a look at some of the dugouts at Sarah Park as well, and make some additional improvements there as well based off of some of the funding that we have available. The Island Ball Field will also receive a new playground equipment out there as we look to maintain and do some upgrades as needed to some of that playground equipment throughout the park system as well. At Rotary Community Park, this coming fiscal year, we'll take a look at adding some additional shade structures to the swing sets, as well as the AD accessible swing set at Rotary as well. And that concludes my presentation, and I'll jump into the manager's report that you all have a copy of. Starting with recreation, summer camp will continue through July 19th with field trips, arts and crafts, and a variety of activities. 3 sessions of adventure camp were completed in June. The after-school program registration will begin as of July 10th. Our aquatics division, free community-sponsored swim days are scheduled for July 14th, the July 21st, and July 27th. So those are great opportunities for our kids to get out and have a free swim day, especially during these hot months. We're continuing to work on partnerships with the fire department for our junior lifeguard program and trying to get them out to tour and take a look at the fireboat that we received as part of a SLIF grant. The community center will see some upcoming events such as the blood drive through July 8th through the 11th, the Veterans Family Day on July 13th, and the Havasu Community Health Foundation Back to School Fair, which is on July 27th. The parks continue to be busy with MATA rentals. Our parks maintenance staff continues to do a great job of making some landscaping improvements throughout, especially as we take a look at Site 6 and the Island Ball Fields, as well as out on the Island Walking Path with some additional landscaping improvements and rock to make those look a little better. Our parks maintenance team continues to do some sidewalk improvements as well in Rotary Park, doing a couple pours there to make some improvements. And one other announcement I'd like to point out is the Lake Havasu City Disc Golf Club is starting their first ladies lunch league at the Lighthouse Lounge the last Thursday of every month. The league is free of charge. The LHC Golf Championships will be held September 21st and 22nd at Sarah Park, as well as at the Bridgewater Links Golf Course this year. Some additional updates, if you haven't seen the press releases and some of the news articles, we have selected a new Parks and Recreation Director. Her name is Gabby Vera. She comes with a lot of experience, not only in the park side, currently serving as Maricopa County's park superintendent, but previous experience as well on the recreation side for Miami-Dade County in Florida, as well as the city of Phoenix. She'll be a great addition to the executive team, and we look forward to having her here as soon as July 15th. And if another update at the previous city council meeting, the 5-year CIP was approved, and this included the budget, the funds associated with the second pool, which will kick off planning and the process of moving forward with that project as soon as possible, based off of some of the direction that we received from council. And that concludes my manager's report.
Great. Thank you. We appreciate it. Are there any questions or comments for Director Kozlowski?
Mr. Chair, I have a question.
Go ahead.
Thank you for the update and the report. For the after-school program registration, are there any changes, or has that program been expanded? And do you have the staff to get that up and running?
Thank you for the question. I do believe we do have the staff readily available to move forward with the program. As far as expansion, I'd have to provide you information at a later date, unless Sherry, do you have? Okay, we're still trying to get some information as far as the site locations and how much availability that we have within those sites that we currently have with the school district. But I can definitely provide you some information here shortly regarding that.
Okay, thank you.
Are there any other questions or comments for the director?
I'll raise another question, Mr. Chair, if that's okay.
Yes, of course.
Okay. And if this needs to be an agenda item later, that's why I was hesitating asking now. But in regards to the public comment, when a long time ago, there was a Trails Advisory Committee, and that was done away with the idea that Parks and Recreation would encompass the trails. But to be honest, in recent years, we haven't really had a lot of conversation about trails. So I'm just wondering if there that staging area was brought up years ago, and a grant opportunity was available then as well. And you may not have any updates on this, Anthony, and that's okay if the board is interested in having a discussion later. But just in case you do have an update of what's been going on, why hasn't that moved forward?
Unfortunately, I don't have an update regarding that. However, if that is the pleasure of the board and something they want further information on, that's something we can take a look at.
Okay, I'll bring it up at the end then. Okay, thank you.
Great. Any other questions or comments? Okay, I'll just add to it and say that, that was a long list of great update items. Director, thank you to you and your staff. Guy Reynolds, he's amazing. I can tell you the upgrades and the changes have been duly noted and much appreciated by many of the user groups. So great job. Keep it up. We're excited to meet the new director. One topic, I am actually going to lose service for about 5 minutes. I don't know if you want to take a 5-minute recess, Director, or if you want to take over for a little bit until I can rejoin.
Chairman, I will defer to the pleasure of the board as far as...
I'm happy to run through those items if that's okay with the board. I don't think we need a recess right now. Okay. Is that okay?
That's fine with me.
All right.
Thank you, Ashley.
Yes, let us know when you're back on. Okay, so we are in the public hearing portion of our agenda. The first is a discussion on the Downtown Catalyst project. Kozlowski?
Thank you, Chairman, members of the board. If you haven't noticed, there's been a lot of dirt movement currently going on at that location. The council did approve the contract for that construction to begin. City staff has been moving quite a bit of dirt and upwards of 600 truckloads of dirt has been moved off of that site in hopes of having it ready here shortly for the contractor to begin work on that site. Based off of council's direction, there currently is no bathrooms associated with that Downtown Catalyst project. However, some improvements as far as shade structure, walking path, grass for that location, as well as some additional landscaping has been approved to make that more of a downtown gathering space for the future home of First Fridays and other events such as Desert Storm as well. And that concludes my update. If there's any questions for me, happy to answer.
Thank you. Any questions from the board?
Yeah. Do you have an update on the bathroom situation there? What's the discussions taking place about that? Because there's going to be pressures put on those local businesses as people hang out there. Right.
Chairman, Board Member Ross, at this point, and based off of what we received from council, there aren't bathrooms planned. However, additional conversations as far as internally, as far as what that would look like moving forward in the future. Maybe that's something that we can do internally to add some bathrooms in the future. But at this point, that's a conversation that we'll have once the project is further along and in later stages and closer to completion.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Any other questions or discussion? Okay. Anyone from the audience want to comment on this? Okay. Well, thank you very much. Seems like we're ready to move on. To the next discussion item is a field and court upgrade update. Director.
Thank you, Chairman, members of the board. I believe at your previous update, former Director Keene mentioned that we brought in a outside agency to kind of take a look at our fields and see where the needs for improvement needed to be. And based off of some of that feedback that we received, Guy Reynolds and his team really went to work, and we're doing a lot of that work internally. So some of the things that I mentioned in my first update in my presentation, those things are happening, such as at Sarah Park. The infield has been increased out there at Field 1. The irrigation has been relocated to accommodate the new turf line, as well as the field turf lip has been eliminated as well out there at Field 1. So there's a lot of improvements going on there. At Ball Field 4, the new scoreboard was installed. We were also working on infield surface grading, and the irrigation system is receiving upgrades as well. At the Island Ball football field, working with partnerships, a lot of additional work has been done out there as well. The new goal posts have been installed. The new fence line that the Chiefs purchase has been completed. And the park staff will also be making some additional landscaping improvements out there as well. So a lot of work going on out there. And last but not least, Cypress Park, we have fertilizing that continues to happen out there to try and green up that field as well. The irrigation time has been adjusted for the summer heat as well. So we continue to make some improvements out there. There's still a lot of, due to the extensive use of that field, it's going to take some time to kind of green that field up at this point. But still a lot of work from our parks team going on, and they're doing a fantastic job. And that concludes my update. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. I think I'll jump ahead with a question of my own. With the lighting at ASU, no problems with that. Could you just talk about what does that partnership look like with ASU and their campus?
Sure. As far as the partnership right now, as it pertains to the lighting, I know we had park staff out there a few weeks ago, replacing some bulbs and making some upgrades to those lighting fixtures out there. As far as the partnership, from my understanding, it's still a good partnership. We're doing our best to make sure those fields are available, and we can continue to use them. As far as maintenance and improvements go to those locations, we'll continue to take a look and see what we can do at this point in time.
Thank you. Any questions or discussion from other board members? Okay, anyone from the audience? All right. We will move on to the next discussion item, which is the Island Path project.
Thank you, Chairman, members of the board. For those who were able to attend, we did hold a ribbon cutting for the Island Walking Path a few weeks back. It looks fantastic within partnership with Public Works and our Parks team. They did a fantastic job in making sure that that project moved forward quickly and efficiently and was completed on time. We recently did the HA5 seal coat on the walking path as well, and that was recently completed. So hopefully that will help to maintain that walking path for many years to come. And based off of some direction from City Council and some additional ARPA dollars, we are able to complete the cut-through section, the island, that island section cut-through. So we'll be able to make some improvements there as well and get that in better shape moving forward. And with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Okay, thank you. Any questions from the board? All right. Anyone in the audience? Okay. I will say that Island Path is used heavily, even in the summer, in the early mornings, and it looks great. It's safer. It's really nice. So kudos to the staff that were able to get that project done. Okay. The next discussion item is the Site 6 boat ramp project update.
Thank you, Chairman, members of the board. As part of my last update, the Site 6 boat ramp, we did hold another ribbon cutting, very well attended. It was a great project in partnership with a lot of support from State Representative Leo Biasucci and his efforts to make sure state lake improvement funds were no longer swept and were available as part of state parks grant opportunities. We were awarded a grant through state parks to facilitate that project. And it turned out, in my opinion, great. As far as some of the additional improvements that we made out there, we did some with help from our park staff, who also did a fantastic job, and some additional painting, some improvements to the bathrooms, and some landscaping work as well out there. It really looks, it really came together and was a very finished product at the end of it. And with that, that concludes my presentation. I'm happy to answer any questions.
All right, thank you very much. Any questions or discussion from the board about Site 6? Again, heavily used, and it looks great. I used the boat ramp a couple of weeks ago. Less stressful for sure. Okay, anyone in the audience want to comment on this item? Okay. All right, that concludes our public hearings. Chairman Cox, have you returned?
Yep, I've been back, but you're doing a great job.
Okay, do you want to take it from here?
I can, but again, you're doing great. Keep it up.
Okay. Well, the next item is just to discuss future discussion items, and I did bring up the trails discussion earlier. I think to form that into an agenda item, kind of a what's happened since we've left off, or just reviewing that potential opportunity for the staging area out there by Sarah Park. Would that be a discussion that this board would want? Would anyone like to second that suggestion?
Mercedes Kaiser, I'll second.
Okay, thank you very much. Was that enough detail to provide for the next meeting? Okay.
Yes.
Are there any other discussion items that you want on future agendas? Okay. Then our next meeting, Ms. Sherry?
Next meeting will be on July 22nd and August 26th.
Okay, is everyone going to be here on July 22nd? Okay. Before we adjourn, Member Strader, would you like to introduce yourself or say anything about how you got here?
Hi, my name's Allie Strader. My sister previously filled the spot of the student member, and watching her be on the board is what inspired me to apply. And I'm very excited to see new changes within the community.
That's wonderful. Welcome.
Thank you.
Okay. Are you sure you don't want to adjourn, Kyler?
You know, with all the work you've done, I think you earned it.
Okay. 6:34, we are adjourned. Thank you.
Have a great night, everybody.